Start as Chaos Demon and join the chat group. Chapter 58 Fighting for the Sainthood in Xiao Palace. Soon, Hung Jun's voice came, ordering the two Taoist children to go and open the door. Haoshan, Yaokai, go and open the door of Xiao Palace. The two received the order and then slowly opened the door of Xiao Palace. When the people outside the door saw the movement in Xiao Palace, they hurriedly gathered at the door. As the door opened, the first to come in were the three pure ones, who were known as the authentic Pangu. When the three saw Shichen sitting above, they were stunned at first, thinking that this was Hung Jun, and then bowed to Shichen. Seeing the six cushions in the front, taking Laozi's heart moved slightly and sat directly in the first seat. Yuanji and Tongtian saw their eldest brother like this, and they followed him and sat in the back. Following closely behind was a pair of brothers and sisters, who were Fuxi and Nuwa. When the two saw that the three pure ones occupied three cushions, they felt that there must be a mystery in these seats. They also bowed to Shichen, and Fuxi quickly let his sister occupy a seat. There were still two seats left, and Kunpeng flashed and sat directly on the fifth cushion. Kunpeng was also a congenital saint in the prehistoric world, and was later the master of the demon clan. His speed was the first under the prehistoric saints, so he could get a seat. At this time, Hong Yuan, a good man in the prehistoric world, appeared, and beside him was his friend Janai Yuanzi. Both of them were famous great powers in the prehistoric world. Hong Yuan saw that there was still one last seat and didn't think too much, so he sat down directly. Although Janai Yuanzi had some guesses, he had to stay by his friend's side since his friend sat down. When everyone was seated, other great powers in the prehistoric world also came in. Seeing that there were only six cushions, but they had been occupied, they wanted to grab them, but thinking that this was Hung Jun's territory, they didn't dare to be presumptuous anymore. When everyone was almost there, they didn't expect that the person above didn't speak, and everyone had never seen Hung Jun, thinking that the only person who could sit here must be Hung Jun, so they didn't guess too much. Seeing some discussions below, Shichen smiled and said, "Please be quiet, I am not Hung Jun deist, there are still people who have not come, please wait a moment." When everyone heard Shishen's voice, they were silent for a moment. No one thought that the person above was not Hung Jun patriarch, but he could sit at the top, and he must be an existence comparable to Hung Jun. At this time, Haoshan and Yaokai looked at the time, and thought that they had to close the gate of Xiao Palace, so they went to close the door. "Please wait a moment, we brothers are late." At this time, a voice came from the chaos, and then two Taoists with ragged clothes appeared. They were Zunti and Jayan from the west. "Brother, it's a good thing that we caught up, otherwise we would have missed this great opportunity." Zunti looked at Jayan, walked towards Xiao Palace, and said to Jayan, "Yes, junior brother, it's a pity that my spiritual veins in the west are dilapidated, and it's also extremely far away from the Xiao Palace. My two brothers and I hurried, and finally got here." Jian responded, and a few tears squeezed out of the corners of his eyes. Everyone looked at the two people like this, and felt surprised and funny in their hearts. These two people are indeed from the resource-scarce west. They are so ragged to listen to the saints preaching. The group of great powers in the prehistoric world looked at the two people's clumsy performances, with a smile on their lips, and a little mockery. "Senior brother, it's a pity that my west is dilapidated and the journey is long. It's okay to be the last one to come to the saint's temple, but there is not even a seat. How can we meet all the sentient beings in the west?" Zunti saw the cushions where the six people sat, and naturally knew that there was a lot of mystery in it, and hurriedly cried to Jiyan. As for Shichen above, when Shichen spoke before, they were at the door, and naturally heard it. They knew that this person was not Hung Jun, but he must be a great power who could sit on an equal footing with the saint. Jiyan heard Zunti talking. The two had known each other for many years, so he naturally knew what his junior brother meant and immediately cooperated. "Yes, junior brother, we are already so miserable in the west, but we don't even have a seat here. In the end, we still lost the face of the west. How can we face all the sentient beings in the west in the future? Let me die here." Jiyan was even more exaggerated. Not only did he cry more, but he also pretended to die in the saint's dojo. Shichen looked at the two people who were performing poorly below. Instead of being angry, he admired them quite a lot. Zunti and Jiyan were able to achieve the status of saints in the end. Although it was because Hung Jun owed the west the cause and effect, it was also inseparable from the efforts of the two. Daezu Hung Jun and Mozu Laha fought a great battle. In the end, Laha detonated the spiritual veins of the prehistoric west. Because Mozu died, this great cause and effect was transferred to Hung Jun, so that he promised to give the west two saints as compensation. Otherwise, he would not push the two important saints to the west. If Zunti and Jayan didn't have the audacity to make a scene in Xiao Palace, they would not have the chance to get the final sainthood. Heaven would only compensate them in other ways. No matter how big the compensation is, it is not as good as two sainthoods. At this time, all the great people in the prehistoric world looked at the poor performance of the two people, thinking that Daezu might kick them out in a while, and all looked at them with sarcasm. "Daezu, how about I give the seat to one of you?" At this time, a voice that everyone didn't expect came. They didn't expect that there would be a fool to give up his seat. Sanking and Fuxi brothers and sisters also looked at Hong Yun in disbelief. They all knew this famous good man in the prehistoric world, but they didn't expect that he was not only good, but also stupid. Shen Yuanzi was right beside Hong Yun, and it was too late to speak out to stop him. Hong Yun stood up as he spoke. Zunti and Jayan saw this and immediately stopped crying. Lianyan stopped hitting the pillar and thanked Hong Yun profusely, which made Hong Yun smile. After the two thanked him, another problem arose, that is, there was only one position, but they had two people. Thinking of this, Zunti looked down from top to bottom. In the front were the three pure ones. These three people were transformed from the Yuan Shen of the great god Pangu. Since they were born, they have always regarded themselves as the authentic Pangu, and the three of them have always advanced and retreated together. If the two dared to grab the position of any of the three pure ones, they would definitely not end well today. Then he looked down again, That was Nuwa's position. Nuwa was a woman, and the two of them were already embarrassed enough. If they tried to grab Nuwa's position again, they would not be able to survive in the prehistoric world in the future. Moreover, the other party was not alone, and his brother Fuxi was guarding beside him. Thinking of this, only Kunpeng was left. Then Zunti walked in front of Kunpeng, looked at Kunpeng and angrily said, "The Saint's Dojo, you are a beast with hair and horns, you can sit here, hurry up and give your seat to my two brothers." Jian also came over and looked at Kunpeng, and the pressure of the two of them pressed towards Kunpeng. "That's right, you people with hair and horns, what qualifications do you have to sit here with us?" Yuanji also spoke at this time. He has always disliked creatures like Kunpeng, so he directly mocked. Tongtian pulled his brother when he saw this, just asking him not to say too much, but he did not dissuade him. Kunpeng's face was extremely gloomy, thinking that although he was the first creature in the North Sea, the huge North Sea did not even have a decent magic weapon, otherwise even if he had a fight with the two, he would not be so resigned. Without saying much, Kunpeng glared at Hongyun angrily. If the other party had not given up his seat first, he would not have been humiliated in public by them. In order to avoid embarrassment, Kunpeng, who had a gloomy face, got down from his seat and found a place to sit cross-legged, but the cause and effect between him and Hongyun was thus established. After everyone was seated, the farce ended. At this time, a figure appeared beside Shichen, nodded to Shichen first, and then spoke to everyone. "From today on, I will preach 3 times, each time for 3,000 years. From now on, when you come to Xixiao Palace again, you will keep your current seat." After saying that, he started preaching directly. This preaching was different from the previous discussion with Shichen. Here, it talked about the realm before the Deloyo Jingxian. Although almost everyone present was a Deloyo Jingxian, listening to the preaching of the Taoist ancestor was also very helpful for their own cultivation. Start as Chaos Demon and join the chat group. Chapter 59, Dividing the Gourd on Mount Buzhu. Hung Jun preached to comply with the way of heaven. This action improved the path of cultivation for the cultivators, so the way of heaven asked him to preach 3 times. Soon, 3,000 years passed, and Hung Jun stopped preaching. When everyone in Xixiao Palace heard the end of the preaching, they opened their eyes and looked at Hung Jun above. The first preaching is over, and the second preaching will start 10,000 years later. In addition, since the war between the 3 tribes of Dragon, Phoenix, and Unicorn, the tribes have disappeared and no one is managing the prehistoric world. Having said this, Hung Jun looked at the people below who were a little eager to move. Everyone present, one by one, is someone who can give up everything for cultivation. However, Daijun and Taei are different. Since they were born on the Sun Star, they have wanted to unify the prehistoric world, so now that Hung Jun said this, they almost want to recommend themselves directly. Dong Wanggong and Shi Wangmua, come forward and listen to the order. Hung Jun's calm voice came, which shocked everyone present. These 2 people were just a little transparent in the scene, and they didn't expect to be favored by the saint. Before the 2 of them could think about it, they came to Hung Jun to listen to his orders. "Today, I confer titles on you 2. Dong Wanggong is the leader of the male immortals in the world, and Shi Wangmu is the leader of the female immortals in the world. I will give you the best innate spiritual treasures, the dragon head cane and the plain cloud flag of the west." As he said that, 2 best innate spiritual treasures fell into the hands of the 2. "Thank you, Saint, for conferring titles and treasures." The 2 of them thanked Hung Jun together and then retreated. "You all retreat, and I will give the second sermon after 10,000 years. After conferring titles on the 2, Hung Jun began to drive people away. Everyone bowed to Hung Jun and then slowly left Xixiao Palace. "Brother, what should we do now?" Taei looked at Daijun outside Xixiao Palace and said. He was very unwilling in his heart. No matter what, his brothers should be the best candidates to rule the prehistoric world, but Hung Jun actually conferred titles on Dong Wanggong, whom he had never met. "It's okay. We'll go back first. This is the sage's dojo. Don't talk too much." Daijun shook his head at Taei, and then pulled him to fly quickly towards the Sun Star. In Xixiao Palace, Shichen looked at Hung Jun and said, "Dayu, I should go back too. This time, I and the 2 boys have benefited a lot from listening to you preaching. I won't bother you anymore. Dayu, please go. I'll forgive you for not seeing you off." Hung Jun nodded and said, and then ordered Haoshan and Yaokai to see Shichen off. Shichen walked out of Xixiao Palace without hesitation. The next second, he appeared in his own dojo. "Now that you have cultivated to the level of quasi-saints, I will give you 2 magic weapons for self-defense. Go and explore the prehistoric world by yourself. Remember, don't do anything that hurts the heaven and the earth." Shichen took the 2 back to the dojo and sent them away. As he said that, he threw a few innate treasures to each of them and let them go. The 2 bowed respectfully to Shichen, and then left Penglei Island together. The 2 boys were born on the island and have been practicing since the beast calamity. Now they are quasi-saints. If they are not allowed to go out for training, they will probably become stupid. After Shichen sent the 2 boys away, he did not practice on the island. Now many powerful people who are familiar to later generations have appeared in the prehistoric world. He must go out to see them and visit his old friends on Mount Buzhu. Thinking of this, Shichen walked out of the East China Sea and randomly chose a direction to move forward. At this time, the prehistoric world was quiet. The powerful people from all sides were in seclusion, trying to digest the gains brought by this listening. Shichen came to Mount Buzhu unknowingly. Suddenly, a light shone somewhere. This was a treasure. Anyway, Shichen had nothing to do, so he flew over directly. When he came here, he found that someone was waiting here. They were San King, Nuwa, Daijun, Taei, and Hong Yun. At this time, several people saw another person appear, and he was on PAR with Hong Jun Patriarch in Xixiao Palace, and they couldn't help but get nervous. "Don't worry, this thing is useless to me, and I won't steal your things. I just saw a treasure coming out, so I came to see it." Shichen saw the tension of the crowd and said with a smile. Everyone was relieved after hearing this. The other party was at the level of a saint, and he shouldn't go back on his word, but he was still on guard against others. I saw taking Lao Zi holding the Tiandi Xian Wan Linglong pagoda on his head, hanging down endless Xian Wan merits, facing everyone with Yuanji and Tong Tian. Others were not to be outdone. Daijun held the Hijuluashu, and Tai took out the chaos spell, guarding against everyone. No one present was simple, and no one would believe it except their own brothers. Seeing that the battle was about to break out, the 7 treasure cords with brilliant light gradually converged, but they were already fully mature. Seeing this, everyone didn't care that they were about to fight. Seeing that Shichen really had no intention of attacking, everyone was relieved. Seeing this, Lao Zi went forward and took down a purple gold cord. It was the purple gold red cord that later contained elixirs, and was taken away by Jinjiao and Yinjiao during the journey to the west, and was deceived by Sun Wukong. At this time, Yuanji also came forward and took away a chaos cord, which was later handed over to Wan Long Jinren. Tong Tian took a green skin cord, which contained 2 water and fire unicorns, and refined it into a water and fire cord, which was extremely powerful. Seeing this, Hong Yun took the red cord, which was the later Jeju Senpo red cord. It can spray red smoke, and when it is stained with smoke, the soul will immediately disperse, and it is powerful. The green cord was obtained by Nuwa, and was eventually transformed into the demon flag for the demon clan. The demon clan soul imprint is stored here, and it can be resurrected after death at a cost. The yellow cord was obtained by Dijun, and was eventually transformed into the immortal slaying flying knife, which was given to his youngest son Lu Ya. During the convert God War, Lu Ya's words of "please turn around, baby" scared many people to death. In the end, there was an underdeveloped black cord left, and no one wanted it, so they planned to go back. Shichen saw that no one wanted the little black cord, so he simply collected it himself, and directly cast a spell to return to the origin, transforming the spiritual energy in the world into the innate energy, and directly revived the immature black cord. Everyone was shocked to see this. This person was too powerful, even this kind of congenitally underdeveloped spiritual root could be directly revived. Shichen looked at the remaining cord vines and soil, and then called Nuwa. "Senior, what do you want?" Nuwa came to Shichen with some trepidation, not knowing why the senior called her. "This cord vine is destined for you. You will need it in the future. I'll give it to you." As he said this, he handed the cord vine to Nuwa, along with the soil on it. This cord vine was the magic weapon that Nuwa used to create humans. Later, because of its merit in creating humans, the heavenly Dao bestowed merit and became the acquired merit and treasure, the whip for creating humans. The soil was not ordinary, it was the 9 heaven Sairang, which was also destined for Nuwa, so he simply gave it to Nuwa. Seeing this, Nuwa was overjoyed and hurriedly thanked. Nuwa thanks the senior. As he said this, he accepted the cord vine and the 9 heaven Sairang. Seeing that there was nothing, everyone dispersed. At this time, Shichen looked at the 2 leaves that fell to the side. 2 leaves grew on this cord vine, 1 yin and 1 yang, which were the fan that Tai's Hanglejun used to fan the air when refining the elixir, and the banana fan later. These 2 leaves are also treasures. Everyone knows this. Perhaps seeing Shichen here, they didn't dare to take all of them. Anyway, the most important cord was taken away, so they just left these 2 leaves. Shichen smiled and then put the 2 leaves away. He looked at the direction and continued to move forward towards Buzhu Mountain, hiding his figure at the same time. Start as Chaos Demon and join the chat group. Chapter 60 Meeting the Ancestral Witch in Pangu Temple. After an unknown amount of time, Shichen once again came to the space inside Mount Buzhu, where Pangu was. "Dao, you are here again." Pangu was just like before, sitting cross-legged in the shadow of the Chaos Green Lotus. "Dao, I didn't expect you to have reached the peak of the Luo. How will you go next?" Shichen looked at Pangu, who had reached the peak of the Luo Jingxian, and asked. "Of course I still have to prove the Dao with force. Although I failed once before, I will definitely succeed this time." Pangu responded with confidence. "If you think about it carefully, it is right. If anyone in this world can succeed in proving the Dao with force, then Pangu is the most likely one. At the beginning, Pangu proved the great Dao. Although he failed, he was about to succeed. And a mere Hunyuan Deluo could not defeat him. That's right, Pangu proved the Hunyuan Deluo Jingxian, not the saint of the prehistoric world. Even so, he could not directly prove the Hunyuan Dao, and Pangu still needed a chance to be reborn. There is only one saint in the prehistoric world now, Hongjun. If the heavenly Dao discovers Pangu, then it will definitely punish him. Maybe Pangu is exposed in the last second, and the eye of heavenly Dao appears here in the next second. Only when the 6 saints come out together in the future, will the heavenly Dao not be afraid of Pangu, and then Pangu can negotiate with the heavenly Dao without letting the other party destroy the world. After all, the prehistoric world was created by Pangu, and the whole world was transformed by his body, so if Pangu can refine the whole prehistoric world, it is possible to repeat the chaos and directly advance to the great Dao. However, in this case, not to mention that the prehistoric heavenly Dao and the innate saints here disagree, even Pangu himself will not agree. After all, this is equivalent to his child. If Pangu can prove the Dao of Yunyuan, then he will not be afraid of the heavenly Dao in the prehistoric world, and the 2 sides can reach a delicate balance, which is good for everyone. It is strong to prove the Dao with force, but it is difficult. But for fellow Daoist Pangu, no one can stop you except the great Dao. Shichen nodded. "Why did you come here this time?" Pangu was a little curious, not knowing what Shichen was doing here. "Nothing, but Hongjun became a saint recently, and I had nothing to do, so I went there to listen. This time I came out of retreat and thought of coming to see you." Shichen shook his head and said, "I see, I didn't expect that little Loach would be ahead of me." Pangu nodded and knew about Hongjun. As a chaos demon god, Hongjun was not even a rank in front of him. When he was enlightened, He killed so many Chaos Demon gods, and Hung Jun was just one of the fish that slipped through the net. Unexpectedly, it didn't take long for Hung Jun to become a saint again, and he had just been reborn. It was really fate. Dayu, I wonder what you think of the 3 pure ones and the witch clan. Shichen thought of the 3 pure ones in the Xiao palace, and Utu, the only one of the 12 ancestral witches who came to listen to the teachings, and wanted to hear Pangu's attitude. After all, they are my children. Although I am not walking in the prehistoric world, I know their behavior. If the Wu clan can give up everything for me, then the 3 pure ones will definitely not do so. Yes, after all, they have left you. Shichen nodded. Dayu, I have an unwelcome request. Pangu looked at Shichen at this time, a little embarrassed. Dayu, you want me to take care of the Wu clan? Don't worry, we can't just focus on the prehistoric world. If there is a chance, I will let the ancestor witch survive. They will have a bigger stage outside the prehistoric world. Shichen smiled, implying something. The prehistoric world is just a top-level world. In the chaos outside the prehistoric world, there are countless worlds, and the Wu clan should not disappear. In this way, I am relieved. Pangu nodded when he saw this. This is a body-refining technique. Deist friends can give it to the ancestor witch to practice. If the opportunity is enough, they can achieve the realm of heaven, and when they achieve the state of One Yuan, they can also have the primordial spirit. At this time, Pangu pointed out and gave a technique to Shichen, hoping that he could give it to the ancestor witch. No problem, I will give this technique to the ancestor witch after I leave. Shichen nodded and put away the technique. The name of the technique was simple and crude, Pangu body refining technique. After chatting with Pangu casually for a few words, Shichen left directly. At the foot of Buzhu Mountain, there is a huge tribe, which is the ancestral land of the ancestor witch, and the ancestor witch hall is here. The 12 ancestor witches were born in the ancestor witch hall, and then various great witches and other witch tribes were born. Now, because the pressure on Buzhu Mountain is getting stronger and stronger, the ancestor witch put a group of witch tribes on the prehistoric land. The 12 ancestor witches each established a tribe and led their own people, but they usually practiced in the ancestor witch hall. Even the great witches in the ancestral witch hall can barely withstand the pressure of Mount Buzhu, so usually only the 12 ancestral witches are here. Before Shichen arrived at the ancestral witch hall, he was soon discovered by the 12 ancestral witches. Why are you here, fellow Taoist? This is the territory of my witch clan. Dijiang appeared with the other 11 ancestral witches and stopped in front of Shichen. Brother, don't be rude. Seeing this, Utu hurriedly stopped Dijiang and walked towards Shichen. Ancestor witch Utu, meet the senior. Utu had met Shichen in the Xiao palace. Only those who can be treated specially by the saints can be in the same realm. Although the 12 ancestral witches do not respect the sky or the earth, but only respect Pangu, when a possible saint appears, it is better to be respectful when the other party's intentions are unknown. Ho-Tu then introduced it to the ancestral witches, and the other ancestral witches quickly did not dare to be arrogant. Although the ancestral witches are fearless, it does not mean that they are fools. The other party is stronger than them, and of course they cannot directly offend the other party. I am the ancestor of the chaos demon god Shi. When Pangu Taoist opened the sky, I witnessed it with my own eyes. After his death, he asked me to take care of Hong Huang Yili, so I came here to take a look. Shichen nodded, and then explained to the ancestor witches. Own origin. What? All the ancestral wizards were shocked when they heard this. No wonder it made Hung Jun respectful. It turned out that he was a figure of the same period as Father God, and he also experienced immortality. He was a true power of chaos. The ancestral witches did not dare to slack off and quickly invited Shichen into the ancestral witch palace. Shichen looked at the restless ancestral witches and smiled. You don't have to be afraid. I know that you ancestral witches do not respect heaven or earth, but only respect Pangu. I have no big enmity with fellow Taoist Pangu. I am just standing in for fellow Taoist Pangu. Look at you. I see. I wonder what the senior's orders are when he comes to my ancestral witch palace. Dijiang breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this, and then looked at the time and asked. I know that you have the intention to strive for hegemony in the ancient world, but you will definitely fail in the end. Shichen did not answer directly, but first told the future outcome of the Wu clan. This is the ancestral witch palace, with the remaining pressure of Pangu, so Heavenly Dao cannot detect this place, so Shichen did not bother to use any means to prevent Heavenly Dao from detecting it. Senior, we don't know why you are here. The prehistoric world was opened up by Father God. Even if we die, we must protect this prehistoric world for Father God. Dijiang was silent for a moment after hearing this, and then looked at the clock. Said firmly. I know that the most important reason why you want to unify the prehistoric world is to protect the world of fellow Taoist Pangu. However, you will inevitably fight with others in the future, which will only accelerate the destruction of the prehistoric world. Have you considered this? Shichen looked at the 12 ancestral witches in front of him. He wanted to see the determination of these ancestral witches. Senior, don't worry. If the day comes, we can only deal with the enemy and then go to Godfather to ask for forgiveness. The hot-tempered Zurong spoke directly, and his loud voice made the other ancestral wizards smile. This was also the case for other ancestors. What the ancestral witch thought. It seems that fellow Taoist Pangu has indeed seen you right. It's just a pity that you won't be able to see your Father God by then. Shichen was stunned when he heard this, and then said with a smile. Senior, what do you mean by this? Dijiang was stunned when he heard this, then stared at the clock and asked. Start as Chaos Demon and join the chat group. Chapter 61. The 12 Ancestral Witches Seek Development. I promised Pangu Deist that I would do my best to protect your Wu clan, and I can tell you that Pangu Deist is not dead. Shichen knew that the ancestor witch would not betray Pangu, so he told the news that Pangu was not dead. If he did not do so, it would not be good for the Wu clan to give up the fight for hegemony in the prehistoric world. What? You said that the Father God has not fallen? How is this possible? He has already transformed into the prehistoric world. The ancestor witches were very excited when they heard this, and looked at Shichen in disbelief and asked, "If Pangu Deist is really dead, why can the Pangu heart in your ancestral witch hall still maintain its vitality?" Shichen said, pointing to a blood pool in the middle of the hall, where Pangu's heart is. Pangu Hall is also known as the Ancestral Witch Hall, and the blood pool here is the place where the Wu clan was born. Because of the Pangu heart inside, 12 drops of Pangu's blood appeared, and finally turned into the 12 ancestor witches. This is the origin of the 12 ancestor witches. The ancestor witches didn't have time to be surprised at why the other party knew that there was Pangu's heart here. They quickly looked at the Pangu's heart, which was still full of vitality, and believed most of what Shichen said. Yes, if the Father God really died, then the Father God's heart would gradually dry up, and this heart has been beating for countless Yuanhui, and it is still full of vitality now. Senior, you tell us what we can do to help the Father God, we will never refuse. Dejong came back to his senses and looked at Shichen seriously. Let me show you what the heavens and the worlds are. Shichen did not answer them directly, but waved his hand, and countless pictures appeared, which were projections of the heavens and the worlds. The world is very big, and the future Pangu Deist will not be limited to a prehistoric world, so your battlefield is not here, but go to other worlds to fight. The heavens and the worlds. So this is outside the chaos. The ancestor witches looked at the various worlds in the picture, some of which were strong, some were weak, but the warlike genes in their bodies were stimulated. Senior, we understand. Since Father God doesn't want to dominate the prehistoric world, we promise you that we will no longer compete for the prehistoric world. The witches came back to their senses and looked at Shichen excitedly. That's good. This is the skill that Pangu asked me to give you. You witches can practice it. As for whether to give it to the Great Witch, it's up to you, but don't let the news that Pangu Deist is not dead be leaked. As he said, Shichen directly passed the Pangu body refining secret that Pangu gave him into the minds of the witches. Great, with Father God's skill, we will definitely become stronger. The witches took a general look at the content of the skill and almost jumped up with excitement. The witch clan only cultivates the body, not the soul, but this skill allows them to break through the Hunyuan Deloyo Jingxian and have the soul, which is simply to make them another Pangu. Not only that, with this skill, they can also get rid of the invasion of the catastrophe as much as possible and break through the Hunyuan better. I have said what I should say, so I will go back directly. Shichen looked around and said to the group of ancestor witches, "We will see you off." Dejong hurriedly said to Shichen, and a group of ancestor witches sent Shichen to the door of the hall. By the way, your witch tribe does not need to develop too fast. Too many people will easily cause conflicts with other races. It will be difficult for you to withdraw in the future. You should pay special attention to the monsters that will appear in the future. Shichen walked to the door and warned the group of ancestor witches. Some things are not something you can do without if you don't want to do them. When your tribe has conflicts with other tribes, if you, as the leader, don't want to avenge them, there will be others who will push you to avenge them. After a while, the blood feud was formed. After Shichen finished speaking, he left the ancestor witch hall directly. Dejong watched Shichen leave, and then summoned all the ancestor witches back to the ancestor witch hall. They had to replan the future development of the witch tribe. The senior is right. Now our witch tribe is developing too fast. There will definitely be conflicts with other races in the future. If we don't deal with it now, we will not be able to help the Father God in the future. Dejong looked at the other ancestor witches and spoke first. Brother, you tell us what to do. We brothers and sisters will listen to you in everything. Batu looked at Dejong and said, "That's right, brother. We brothers and sisters will all listen to you. I don't understand those tactics. I will just listen to you." Zurong also responded. Other ancestor witches had no objections. Gonggong, Xianming, Sujian and other ancestor witches all looked at Dejong. Okay, then I will say it first. If the younger brothers and sisters have anything to add, please remind me. Dejong nodded and took the lead in speaking out his plan. Now our Wu tribe has hundreds of millions of people, but we have to curb the population. Next, we need to let each tribe do its best to limit the development of the tribe, and also do its best to shrink the tribe and gather near the ancestral Wu temple as soon as possible, as long as it is not affected by the pressure of the Father God of Buzhu Mountain. Even though the Wu tribe is not good at reproduction, it has already had hundreds of millions of tribesmen after so many years of development. If we follow the original trajectory, when the Witch-Lich War in the future comes, there will be hundreds of millions of Wu tribesmen, which will be terrible. Well, it's time to curb the tribesmen. Now our Wu tribe is developing too fast, and many races have complained. Ho Tu nodded when she heard it. She was born compassionate. Many tribesmen in her tribe often bullied other weak races, but because they were of the same race, she couldn't say anything. Now that the Wu clan has returned to Buzhu Mountain, they can do less of this kind of thing, and curb the number of the clan members, which can reduce some troubles. Brother, why don't we just open up a small world for the clan members to live in? Xianming suddenly said at this time. The eyes of the ancestor witches lit up when they heard this. The prehistoric world has countless vassal small worlds, and they can also open up a small world by themselves when they reach the Deloyo Jingxian. If this is really feasible, then there is no need to be so troublesome. No. Emperor Zhang shook his head when he heard this, which made the ancestor witches stunned. Have you ever thought about it? All of us Wu clan are warlike people. If we lock them up in a small world, they will definitely go crazy. Moreover, the laws of the small world are incomplete, the way of heaven is not obvious, and it is impossible to practice in it. With Emperor Jiang's explanation, the ancestor witches thought of this matter. Just now, everyone only thought about how to settle the Wu clan, but forgot that they could not practice and the tribe members were warlike. Although the Wu clan only cultivates the body and does not cultivate the soul, they do not need to comprehend the rules of heaven and earth. But physical cultivation also requires spiritual energy, and only in the prehistoric world can there be sufficient innate spiritual energy. Okay, in that case, let's follow my method just now. You pass the order to each tribe, and then start the transfer of the tribe, and then return to the ancestral witch hall to practice the skills passed down by the Father God together. If there is a better way in the future, you can make a decision again. Seeing that everyone had no objection, Dejong issued these instructions. Brother, I suddenly thought of a way to make our people less bored when they get together, and it can also improve their combat effectiveness, but it requires the Father God's skills. At this time, Ho-Tu suddenly said, Sister Ho-Tu, if you have any ideas, just say it directly, there are no outsiders here. Hearing this, the ancestral witches stopped leaving and looked at Ho-Tu. I think we can hold a selection meeting within the witch clan every 1,000 years, and the top 10 can improve their bloodline and become great witches. A competition meeting between great witches will be held every 10,000 years, and the strongest can obtain the qualification to practice the Father God's skills. This can better appease all the clan members, let them practice harder, and no longer be so restless. Ho-Tu slowly said her decision. This method is good, so that group of boys will have motivation. With the encouragement of the Father God's skills, no witch clan will not work hard to practice, and there will be no so many things. The ancestor witches were overjoyed when they heard this, and they all praised. Okay, in this case, let's add this method of Sister Ho-Tu, and let's spread it now. Dejong made the decision and decided the direction of this matter.